I'm the Dark Lord of Optics, and what I bring you here is a thinking man's take on guns and optics with occasional forays into politics. Thank you for being here. And we are live. Alright folks, what we're doing here today is a wrap-up of the Steiner MPS red dot sight, and you see it here on my 10mm Glock. The gun is unloaded, empty, everything is empty, so I'm going to drop the slide so you can see it a little bit better. It's sort of an interesting red dot sight. Before I step off so you can actually see me, I want to make it big in the picture. Kind of an interesting angular look, aimpoint acro mounting scheme. This particular slide is milled for Glock MOS, so I have MOS to acro adapter plate. Where this thing is really interesting, if you see on the top, what you see, there's a battery compartment and LED emitters on the top as well. So if you're looking through it, what you find is that the top of the slide is the sight is comparatively thick, but what it allows you to do is have a very, very low bottom of the window, so there's an optical axis is fairly low. These sights are comparatively standard suppressor height sights, and you notice they are quite high up, not quite at the full co-witness, about at the 1/3 of the way up, maybe a little bit more, almost halfway up through the window. So if I were setting this up permanently, I would co-witness it with the lower sights. I don't think standard height sights would work, but something that's just a step higher would be a good bet. Alrighty. And unlike my usual endeavors, I'm actually going to sit down a little bit and talk a little bit about the red dot sight. I've spent, I think, 3-4 months with it, something like that. Oh, by the way, it's a windy day. I'm testing my new microphone. I got this wind protection dead cat looking thingy. Hopefully it works. Anyhow, I spent a good amount of time with it, and testing red dot sights is sort of interesting because optically there's not a ton happening in here. You can look at color cast, and there is a little bit of the greenish color cast, but it's comparatively mild. This is an enclosed red dot sight, so one of the things you look for is to see if any dust, grime, water. I did some shooting with it while it was raining, got inside, nothing got inside, the ceiling was not compromised. What else can you look at on a red dot sight? Well, is the optical feedback, if there is an auto adjust center, is that working well enough? In this case, there isn't one. There are 2 buttons here, plus minus. It's a completely manual adjust red dot sight, so there wasn't really anything to check there. What else can you do? The only other real thing you can do is look at the collimation quality. And what collimation quality is, basically tells you if the lens surface, so on the front here, there's a lens, and usually it would be angled sideways or downwards. It would be angled downwards if the emitter is shining from the bottom, or angled to the side if the emitter is on one of the side walls. Here the emitter is up top. So the lens up front, if you can see this, I'm going to try to zoom in. The lens up front here is actually angled downward like this. It creates a couple of interesting effects. So what happens is that when you think about the parallax of a red dot, it is not perfectly symmetric, because basically if the angle of the lens like this is like this, angled tilted downward a little bit, then means left-right parallax is going to be symmetric, and up-down, probably not. It depends on which exact way the lens is tilted. And I have to say that with this one, and I had it for a little bit of time on a carbine as well, the parallax is really well controlled. I thought it was done quite nicely, and honestly, I think it works well on handguns. I would seriously consider it on a carbine as well, just because the parallax control is really, really good. Another thing that's really good is the collimation quality. I have a mild astigmatism, so vast majority of red dot sights out there to me do not look like a dot. There's some splotch of some sort. It does not prevent me from aiming at typical reflex sight distances, but still nice to be able to see a nice sharp dot. What helps you to deal with astigmatism is to not run the dot too bright. That's usually a good idea. Another one is to use a larger dot. Well, with the MPS, I didn't really have a choice of the size of the dot. So it is what it is. I think it's 3 MOA, I want to say. It's actually not marked on it, and I am drawing a blank on the size of the dot. I'll put the text in the video. But it's a smallish dot. By my standards, I usually run larger dots, and it's fairly sharp to my eye. It's much more defined than most other red dot sights out there. So the collimation quality is indeed quite good. The battery, as I mentioned, is up top, and it's a standard 2032 battery. I have been running it continuously. I didn't turn it off. I think it has. I think this thing has shake awake. So, but basically, I left the dot alone, and I haven't had to change it. I don't see brightness diminishing in any way, shape, or form. What I did not do any destructive testing. I didn't try to smash it with a jackhammer. I didn't try a sledgehammer. I didn't drive over it with my car. I think all this sort of stuff is silly. The gun did end up being dropped a couple of times. I mean, right? I did this a few times. Nothing happens to it. I mean, occasionally there's some dust, some scratch somewhere, something. I don't know. The dot works. I don't know. Don't know what else. So generally, enclosed red dot sights like this tolerate drops pretty well, but I don't go out of my way, trying to break anything. So I don't know what else to tell you. There's nothing went wrong with it. The only thing that was kind of interesting, it's not wrong, it's just a side effect of how exactly this thing is set up. The window in the back is absolutely vertical, and the window up front is tilted a little bit like this because the emitter is up top. So if I had the sun or very bright light source of some sort behind me, and I was pointing in or something, if I had it at just the right angle, I could get a little bit of a reflection of these two lenses, because the way they're angled, it makes it slightly more likely. But to get into a particular shooting position where that is a problem, that doesn't happen very much. It would be a pretty rare thing. Okay. So anyhow, that's largely it. The MPS is going back. I've had fun playing with it. I'm gonna send it back to Steiner, see if they can break it. I did not give me any troubles, and the dot worked well. If I were to change anything, it's a tough call. So I like to have auto adjust as an option. I wouldn't mind having that. And another thing that I would not mind having is some other additional reticle options, not just a single dot, a couple of holdover dots, something like that, for when I want to use it on a long gun. Aside from that, I can't, excuse me, I can't fault the build quality. I can't really fault the performance. The sight worked well and didn't give me any issues. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening. And if there is anything else you'd like me to cover on this red dot sight, anything I forgot to mention, please put it in the comments, and I will address it the best I can. Thank you.